Jeff. Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff. J-E-F-F, Jeff.
Jeff Stein's our national and presidential expert, noted author. You can find his books at your favorite bookseller. Of course, the Iowa Politics, the Iowa Business Report, coming to us from KXEL in Cedar Falls, Waterloo.
Say, I was sitting at my desk, and I was really plowing through the to-do list, and I'm thinking, I am really getting a lot of things done. Well, clearly it's because I forgot to come into the studio,
yes.
Even though hours ago I replied and said, I'm looking forward to it. Apparently I was looking forward to it and just blew past. So I could have said I was trying to influence Trump jurors, but I thought I'd be honest.
I do love the fact that you're not, now I'm your excuse for why you can't get your job done. You know, it's like McNeil. I mean, it's not the first person, by the way.
Yeah, I'd have gotten all this work done, boss, but
you know,
Chicago.
I'm hesitant to tell you this. I am hesitant to tell you this. So this last weekend we had.
Not going to go well.
No, it's going to go well for you, but it's just. Sexy Liberal was in town. You know, the Stephanie Miller crew comes through.
I saw the photos. Could you not get a seat? Because I mean, you post on social media photos of the backs of people's heads. Did you sneak in off the stage door?
Well,
or
I was
what?
backstage. I was glad because I mean there was no seats available anywhere near, so I was going to be in the very back. So I stayed in the backstage. It was kind of nice. Stephanie Miller and Fugelsang, Hal Sparks, all those guys. Frangela, Cliff Schechter was in town, and so we got to chat with him. And I saw a lot of people. We did an event beforehand. We did an event afterwards. I can't tell you how many people told me how much they like you. A lot of people actually said, "Is Jeff Stein here tonight?" A lot of people. I am talking in the double digits, and I am hesitant to even tell you this because, you know, I think the real problem why you were late is you couldn't get your damn head through the door. So,
well, now that's not true because I didn't know. Now, can I get out? No, certainly not. There are two things. One, were you selling alcohol at the event?
A lot of it, yes.
I think we've just answered the
no, a lot of them were early, so they were they were only one or two in at this point. So I don't think that's a viable excuse.
All right, so here's a remotely funny story. I mean, that's very sweet. First of all, very nice of you to mention it. Very, very nice of the listeners to have paid attention to even know when the monkey comes on. But a couple of weeks ago, I was doing some talks about my radio programs, my syndicated programs. I went to, it was Franklin County, which is right near I-35 for you. Yep. So it's Hampton and Ackley, and these are places that nobody in Chicago or Minneapolis knows about, but they're fine little towns, and I was there representing the affiliate that carries my programs. After tourist stop number one, the first person to come up wanted to talk to me about the national host I fill in for. Not about me, wanted to talk about the national host. Tour stop number two. First person who came up after the presentation did not want to talk about me, wanted to talk about the national host that I fill in for. So when stop number three came up and I finished, I just left without talking to anyone because I didn't need to hear it yet again. So I feel for you because I've been on both ends of it, and I'm very happy that people enjoy this bit of randomness that occasionally I forget to show up for.
Yeah, I did have a lot of, yes, John Fugelsang smells like lavender, puppy dogs, and rainbows. I had a lot of that, too, but at the same time, it was completely spontaneous, out of the blue. You do have a fan base, my friend.
Well, it's because of you and tolerating this dog and pony. But thank you, folks. I would have been there, but I wasn't invited. So after all the years you tried to get me to come to the Blue State Ball and I rejected it, that's kind of the inside joke of this. Why would you invite me? I never leave town.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next I'm going to come down and get you for the next Blue State. I have to, apparently, at this point. All right, so what I was briefly talking about while we were setting up here. All right, we'll talk about, Sleepy McCourtroom in a second. But all right, so Arizona, the House there just voted down repealing the 1864 law. So basically, you have an issue that has been destroying Republicans, and it would automatically repeal to a 15-week ban. This is their new Republican moderate stance on abortion. Yet they don't even want to go there. You have as well Marjorie Taylor Greene and now Massey down in the House basically saying that Johnson is done because how dare you help Ukraine? Thanks, Vlad. But, that's going to be done, and you're going to have a chaos in that House again. And we've talked about that last week, and we're talking about as well, again, the RNC funneling all the money away. I cannot believe these guys are thinking that this is the way you're going to win majorities of anything, let alone even like plus 4 or 5 houses and senates for the Republican side. You're going to get destroyed because you don't have the money. You look like you're a chaotic bunch of fools, and you're embracing extremist policies. And yet I keep waiting for them all to say, okay, that's all behind us. Now we're going into the regular election. And they cannot seem to quit this.
Nobody has a plan.
Nope.
Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, but there was no plan post-Dobbs. And I'll go so far as to say for both sides, because for 49 years and 3 months, each side had their own talking points. They had their own fundraising. They had everything. Okay, if you're on the left side of the political spectrum, you didn't dream that Roe would be overturned. John Roberts didn't want to overturn it. I mean, he was trying to moderate things,
yes.
Quote unquote, moderate things. If you're on the right, well, most of those folks don't remember. It's true on both sides. They don't remember a time before. So what's the alternative? Well, got to get rid of Roe. Okay, now what? It's the same thing, and I don't mean to be flip about it, but it's like the dog who chases cars for a living and then catches one. Well, now what do? I can't drive. And this has been the problem. So you're in Arizona. Okay, gotta revert back to the old law. Did anybody think about writing a new one? And when the House down there says we're not going to repeal the old law, some of them are saying, well, no, wait, why don't we actually create a law as opposed to up or down? But there was no plan. And here's what it did in Arizona. A month ago, Kari Lake was ahead of the Democrat, the presumptive nominee. Actually, have they had the primary? In any case,
I don't think so, no.
It's, Ruben Gallegos. I can't remember.
That's the front runner, yes.
Okay. She was ahead. Then this happened. The court ruling in Arizona that reverted back to a pre-Civil War law or whatever it is. Keep in mind, Arizona became a state in 1912. You're going back to territorial legislation with this. And what has happened? The lead flipped. It flipped. It's like a 6-point swing in what was already a tight race. And she changed her position totally.
Immediately,
from when she ran for governor to when she's now running for U.S. Senate. Now, changing your position is not a bad thing. Politicians on all sides do it. The speed with which you do it, given certain circumstances, is entertaining, but there's no plan. And how in the world can you possibly suggest that you've got the right policy when you have no plan? And don't even start with the House of Representatives. And now I see that the Senate simply dismissed the articles of impeachment. I mean, I would like to say we as citizens, Matt, deserve better, but we keep electing these fools. Mm-hmm. So we get what we deserve.
Well, I mean, it's, going after Mayorkas because of policy decisions is like going after the transportation secretary because he paved a road the way you didn't like him to.
Don't say that. You just gave people an anti-Mayor Pete talking point. What is the matter with you?
All right. I want to bring up something here, and this is, I think you're going to enjoy.
Wait. Marjorie Taylor Greene just tweeted that she's going to go after Mayor Pete because of a paving project. See? Look at that. Look what you did.
The communist paving unions. Okay, so I want to bring up an interesting element of this. So you and I have watched, somewhat sadly, as local small-town media has been wiped out. The newspapers are gone. Most of the radio stations in small-town America are now just broadcasting other networks and stuff like this. There really aren't news outlets in these towns. I think we're about to see the impact of getting rid of all this local news and making things so national that the Arizona House impacts how in toss-up districts in Iowa and in Illinois and in Minnesota, are affected here in these races, because it's no longer you just have to deal with the one crazy clown car Republican per se in your state. Now you have to deal with, because there is no local news, there is no local perspective. All these papers and radio stations are now gone. You're now competing with the extremism of other states as well. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, when you've got a situation where, and let's just talk radio for a moment.
Yes.
You work for a locally owned and operated station in the Twin Cities.
Indeed.
The folks in Chicago, it's locally owned and operated, right?
Yep.
I work
Heartland
for a company that's based in Iowa, and they own 36 stations in 4 states, but it's not like they own 1,100 stations.
Yes.
All right. And the problem is when you've got companies that own 600, 700, 800 stations, and they also own syndicated networks. You know, the iHearts of the world, Premier Radio Networks, they're all same ownership. Well, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have the masters say, you, local station, have to air the syndicated programs that we want you to carry. So you've got no diversity of voices, of impact, anything across the country. So how in the world can you possibly cover your local area when they say, well, why should we hire a host? Because we've got national folks who can fill in. Syndicated programming, to a large degree, is the death of local radio. And that's why what you do and what I do are you know, we're just standing out in the field. And frankly, it's why people notice it. Because the rest of the stuff just all blurs. And, you know, daily newspaper, Lee Enterprises, okay, big company. Most of their afternoon dailies are now 3 days a week. Yeah, they're updated online, but they don't even deliver. You get it in the mail. So when your robust town newspaper, and I'm talking about places of 50 to 60,000 people, and they don't have a daily newspaper, and it comes in the mail 3 days a week, you're not going to get the depth of coverage. And online just doesn't cover it for everything anymore.
I remember I was looking at a newspaper at the Mesabi Daily News, and this was, I think, last summer, and their big editorial was on DeSantis. And I'm like, because none of there was one guy writing local news, but there was no opinion things. It was all these national APs and stuff like this. And, you know, it is gone. And this is the problem, is that Arizona's House actually is going to impact these small town races because it's the only news they're getting for the most part at this point. And it affects them all down the line. We got to take a break. When we come on back, we'll let you finish. I'll let you answer on to that point, and then we'll get into sleepy time with Donald Trump. It is Jeff Stein joining us for his usual weekly visit right here on the Matt McNeil Show.